I think this is hopefully just the beginning. I mean, I think this is the initial spark of what this protest is about.
Because it didn't happen immediately. Instead, we had to beg for it, we had to fight for it, we had to destroy things for it. And that's not fair.
It's systemic, so we need to start like rooting out all the other causes of the actual, problem.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. That is some of the responses in Minneapolis to the news that all 4 officers fired after the killing of George Floyd have been arrested. Other police critics are targeting the president of the Minneapolis Police Union, which has been a very powerful force against reform efforts. In a letter to members that emerged earlier this week, Lieutenant Robert Kroll seemed to refer to the protest as a terrorist movement and said that officers had been illegally terminated. In response, a former Minneapolis police chief called Kroll, quote, a disgrace to the badge. Jamie Yuccas spoke to her about the department's history of racial issues. Jamie, good morning to you. What did you find?
We found that the Minneapolis Police Department's own statistics reveal black people are more likely to have excessive force used against them than white people. That's one thing former city leaders say they want to see change.
Do you think there is an issue of systemic racism within the police department?
I think there's an issue of systemic racism in every police department.
Janae Harteau is the former chief of Minneapolis Police. About 20% of the city's population is black. But according to department data analyzed by the New York Times, Minneapolis police use force against black people at 7 times the rate of white people.
Every day, every year, we're the only people here looking for justice is just us black people.
Before George Floyd's death prompted national outcry, prosecutors drew criticism for declining to file charges against 2 Minneapolis police officers in 2018 for the deadly shooting of 31-year-old Thurman Blevins. Police said they believe Blevins, who fled with a loaded handgun, posed an immediate threat to officer safety. 3 years earlier, Jamar Clark was also shot and killed by Minneapolis police. Police said he was trying to grab a gun and charges were never filed.
There is a problem with policing in the city of Minneapolis.
Janae Harteau stepped down as the city's police chief in 2017 after another deadly police shooting. She's now among the chorus of voices, including several Minnesota labor organizations, calling on police union head Robert Kroll to resign. Earlier this week, he claimed in a letter that the officers charged in George Floyd's killing were fired without due process.
Do you think it's fair to point the finger strictly at Lieutenant Bob Kroll?
No, but I do think it begins with Bob Kroll. He is the loudest voice.
All of our actions, they have an impact.
In 2017, Madaria Arredondo took over for Harteau, becoming Minneapolis's first black police chief. But a decade earlier, he and 4 other officers filed a discrimination lawsuit against the department, claiming it systemically and continuously discriminated in favor of white persons and subjected black officers to a hostile work environment. The complaint also accused Kroll of making racist statements and wearing a motorcycle jacket with a white power badge. The city settled the lawsuit for $740,000 without admitting liability.
The Minneapolis Police Department will prohibit fear-based trainings.
And just last year, when Mayor Jacob Frey banned so-called warrior training, which teaches officers to view all interactions as potentially dangerous and equips them with a readiness to kill, Kroll partnered with a private company to continue offering that training.
In my city and in cities around the country, we militarized policing.
R.T. Ryback was the mayor of Minneapolis from 2002 to 2013.
We're at a crisis point right now. We can't do everything overnight, but we can stand up and kneel down and recognize that this is a moment in which we've got to make the change.
We know that use of force is disproportionately experienced by Black Americans across the country, and Minneapolis is no different.
University of Minnesota sociology professor Michelle Phelps studies policing.
Many people of color in the United States grow up knowing that the police can be a source of harm to them. So I think police reform is clearly on the table right now in a bigger way perhaps than ever before. But I think we also need cultural change in society.
We should mention that Lieutenant Kroll is married to an anchor at our Minneapolis station WCCO TV, and they say she has not reported on the department or union issues for at least 2.5 years. Anthony?
All right, Jamie, thank you. And we did reach out to Kroll for comment, but have not heard back.